That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. It's Tiki here with my compatriot Pi on my cake, here to break down Sorcerer's Apprentice Endgame Projects 1 and 2. How you doing tonight, Pi?
I am doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. Pi, you've got two things on your plate that I'm jealous of. A, you just got back from an awesome solo trip to Disneyland. And B, you're currently playing through Kingdom Hearts 3, which I do not have the luxury of doing because not only do I not own a PS4, Pi, but I don't even own a TV. I literally haven't had a TV in my room in like almost a decade because I've just been living off of the internet.
You know, if it
So
makes
it's
you
like,
feel
even if I
better, the only
wanted to
reason
play
I have a
Kingdom Hearts 3,
TV.
which I really do, it'd just be impossible. It'd just be like, well, fuck, I have to like, not only do I have to invest in a PS4 and the game, but I also have to invest in a TV to go, like, that's $1,000 right there, man.
That's a decent investment. If it makes you feel better, the only reason I have a TV is because my younger cousin bought a new one for Black Friday. So I got a hand-me-down from my 16-year-old cousin.
um, but I gotta be honest, Spider-Man and Kingdom Hearts 3 are two very big selling points to getting a PS4 eventually, man. I mean, just those
They're
two
definitely,
alone.
they've been the only two I've played so far on this, but they've both been worth it.
Right. So, anyways, enough Kingdom Hearts chat. We could literally do a whole podcast about Kingdom. You and I we could kill an hour talking about Kingdom Hearts so easily. It's not even funny.
Oh, you know we could.
Like if we got going on it, it'd just be like the time would just fly like that, man.
Not to dwell on this too much longer, but Barry Kramer, who used to be with the Game Grumps, had never played Kingdom Hearts and did a 7-hour live stream podcast with his friend who was super into the games, explained the whole plot to him. I feel like we could do that.
Oh man. I'm interested in this podcast now. I want to listen to that. Honestly, Pi,
But
I haven't followed the series at all since KH2. That's the thing. I've heard that the plot of KH3 is pretty streamlined, and you don't really need to know, like, there's Easter eggs, but you don't really need to know all the background stuff. So I don't know. Anyways, we're falling into a trap here, Pi. This is what I'm talking about. We're going down a rabbit hole.
you're right. We have to break out of this and start moving forward. Let's just keep moving forward.
Good
Always
transition. Good
progressing.
transition.
There you go.
All right, so basically what we're going to be doing here, folks, is we're going to be recapping projects 1 and 2 of the Sorcerer's Apprentice Endgame. And project 1 is going to be a little bit more fast and loose. Project 2, we're going to be diving into more detail on. So, Pi, 2 rounds in, how you enjoying Endgame? Which, by the way, I want to remind the folks. I always want to consistently have a hashtag. Never forget about this one. Endgame was decided on the title of Sorcerer's Apprentice Season 5 long before we knew that was going to be the name of the next Avengers movie.
I love that.
It's just dumb fucking luck.
Yeah, no, the competition's been a lot of fun. Some really creative challenges. Great teammates. And my team won one of the rounds, so that always feels nice because I'm only happy when I'm winning.
All right.
But no, this has been a great team so far and great challenge and game.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've got to admit, I haven't been really keeping up with the brainstorming threads, mostly because I hit a roadblock in Project 2 where I was just like, I just don't have time to look into this massive project detailing a whole fifth gate of Disney World, man. I only have so many hours in the day, and most of them are spent either working or podcasting. I don't know what to tell you. So
that is understandable.
So Project 2, suffice to say, I'm going to really rely on you a lot to lay out your team's project. However, I really like Team Warrior's project in Project 2, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I'm not saying you guys shouldn't have won because you guys clearly had the better presentation style. But what I love about
the Team Warriors was the one that won.
Oh, they were?
Didn't they win? I'm pretty sure they did.
I couldn't. Oh, my bad. My bad.
We won stanza 2, but they won stanza 1.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Stanza 2.
Oh, stanza 2.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm just kind of laying the groundwork for the entire podcast here. I'm just kind of teasing up stanza 2 before we get into stanza 1.
Their project was really interesting.
Well, here's the thing that I really liked about their project, Pi, just unabashedly. Like, I doubt that any of them are familiar with Knott's Berry Farm, but holy hell did that thing remind me of Knott's Berry Farm in the best of ways, Pi. Down to having a berry stand, for God's sake.
Like, there you go. It does have a very
berry stand. You have a Bigfoot centric attraction. You have like an awesome Native American cultural history show. I mean, it's all there, Pi. It's all there.
And it works really effectively with the rest of the park, too.
Yeah. Pi, next time you go to Southern California, you really need to hit up Knott's.
It's definitely, next time I go out, whenever that happens to be, I want to explore more of California.
Yeah,
Knott's and all that.
Man, Knott's is just, I know that, because you're a coaster guy, right?
I am. Not super often, but I do love them when I get to do them. And Nate just commented that he actually goes to Knott's all the time. So some of the similarities and influences may not be entirely coincidental.
Okay, that's my bad, Nate, because you know what? I've tried bringing up Knott's several times, and most people are just like, Knott's? What's Knott's? So, Nate, my God, I'm clapping for you right now, man, because as an avid Knott's Berry Farm fan myself, I totally picked up on those influences. Absolutely. I knew it wasn't coincidental. And also, Pi, I just want to hype up on a 4-day trip to Knott's Berry Farm in like less than a month. Yay.
Nice.
Yeah. It's my first trip doing Knott's like multiple days in a row. Because usually Knott's is just like we go there for one day during a Disney trip. And this one, honestly, Pi, the last 2 times I've been to Southern California, I've been like, I honestly like Knott's more than Disneyland at this point, mostly because of the crowd situation.
I was lucky I was there when it was very light crowds, but I can imagine Disneyland being a nightmare when it's packed.
Oh, yeah. December 2016, Pi. December 2016. That was a nightmare. All right. Anyways, so let's waste no further time. Let's dive into the projects. Of course, Project 1 was to revamp Disneyland's Tomorrowland. Okay, Pi, now I want to just to get frame the groundwork of your trip here. I want to know Disneyland's Tomorrowland, man, it's a hot mess now that you've seen it in person, right? Like, is it as bad as all the legends said it was?
I was expecting worse from what people were saying, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a strong land. There's some very neat elements at play and some very odd things there too. It's just is odd and so much wasted or unused space or underutilized space, considering how crammed together everything in Disneyland is.
Right.
It needs an overhaul.
Yeah. I mean, the People Mover tracks are just depressing.
Like, if they made them into trying to make it like a stylistic choice rather than just leaving the tracks there, like they could look nice. They don't.
It literally looks
They
like
could.
the abandoned monorail tracks at Six Flags Magic Mountain, Pi.
Another stop I want to make next time I'm in California, maybe.
Oh, dude, we got to plan a fucking Southern California coaster trip together, man.
Sounds good to me.
2 days at Knott's, 2 days at Magic Mountain, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when the parks are empty. Mwah, just perfect. Perfect. Anyways.
But yeah, back on the topic. So are we starting with Team Warriors version?
No. Let's. I'm sorry. I just have this pulled up because it's the best kind of rude image. Let's start with the project that was turned in first, which was Team Supers.
There you go.
Pi.
This one was interesting.
This team lost an unprecedented 4 members in this project. I have never seen that happen before in one of these comps.
It was over half the team.
So basically, this was Space doing, like, I don't know. I want to give Twilight Zone some credit here because I definitely saw her contributing in the thread as well. But I want to say Space, like, easily did 60+% of this work. Easily.
Yeah, it definitely. This is one where you can just read through it and see that, oh, there was 2 people who completed about 70% of this project total. And that's it.
And then
Other 30% is not there.
written by Space is like, it's like super obvious, the stuff that's not written by Space.
He has a very distinct style.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, we get more awesome Space artwork, because that's always a plus.
Oh yeah. And hello there to Twilight Zone, who's in the chat.
Hey, Twilight.
I believe that's Twilight Zone.
Also, Pi, I just want to point out, I love the fact that the Astro Orbiter was removed like a few days after you left.
I saw it looking like it was being taken apart, and I was like, "Wow, that's a really thorough."
Wait! So when you were there, the construction walls were there?
Yeah, they were there the entire time.
Okay.
Over that and the castle, sure. So the hub was just a mess.
Wow, that sounds awful. That really sounds like a nightmare, knowing Disneyland like I do. Oh my God. No, thank you. Jesus Christ. Oh, Pi, I'm literally getting like chills thinking about that scenario when the park's busy. Oh man. Oh.
It wasn't that bad. It was dead crowd.
No, I know, but you went in like, imagine that scenario in like mid-December.
Oh, that I don't want to imagine. Luckily, I don't think a single team kept the People Mover or Astro Orbiter, anywhere close to where it is currently.
No, that's the thing. The Astro Orbiter is by far, like, look, the People Mover being removed in the Rocket Rods thing, that's the biggest atrocity that's ever been committed at Disneyland, bar none. People Mover is up there. I'm sorry, the Astro Orbiter is up there, though, man. It's not like, the thing isn't an atrocity, but it's definitely one of the most boneheaded, like, could have had a V8 moments in Imagineering history.
Yeah, it was a odd decision.
Man, it's like I've been to the park when it's really crowded and that corridor is just hell to walk through, and you're at Buzz Lightyear and you want to get to frickin' Star Tours, Pi, and that should not be a chore, right? That should not be hard considering how close those attractions are to each other.
It really should not be. I hate to burst the bubble for Twilight Zone in the chat, and Nate, who seemed to be excited about the Astro Orbiter being removed. From what I have heard, it's supposed to be going right back where it is.
All right, don't shatter my dreams. All right.
I hope I'm wrong.
I'm right
That's
there
what
with
I've been
Twilight Zone
hearing
and
from a
May. I
lot of
am just
people.
hoping. I'm hoping beyond hope that they keep that thing out of there. I'm trying hard not to swear on this thing. All right. Anyways, let's.
I do like those. Speaking of the not Skyliner, the People Mover track and all of that blocked up area. I like the idea in this one of making the People Mover track into a Viewliner walkway. It reminds me of the Highline Park from New York that they did with the old train track or whatever. I think that's a really neat idea to
New
add.
York. I've never heard of that concept.
Yeah, it happened right before I went to New York back when I was, I want to say like 19, something like that, with my friends.
Uh-huh.
So I thought that was a neat way to reutilize the People Mover track in a creative way. It's just a
like several
scenic
things
walkway.
Idea. One, I really love that they bring back the Viewliner. I love the Viewliner as an obscure piece of Disney history pie. I really do. It's like, yeah, before there was a monorail, there was basically a prototype monorail on the ground that was designed from the ground up by Bob Gurr and ran in the park for like less than a year.
I don't know if that's just me or if that is everyone lost your voice there. But I missed what you said there.
Oh, crap. We're having this issue again. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, good. I just want to say I really like the Viewliner, the homage to the Viewliner, because the Viewliner is a really cool piece of obscure Disneyland history for me.
It's one I never even heard of.
Oh, really? Okay, well, here,
yeah.
Let me blow your mind with some fun facts, Pi. You ready for this?
Go for it.
Okay, so the Viewliner was basically a train that ran in Tomorrowland. I believe it ran in a section of the Autopia track before they expanded it out with, the Junior Autopia and all that. And basically, Pi, like, look up pictures of it. The design for this thing, the train and everything, was literally the monorail. Like, literally the Mach 1 monorail. So it was the Mach 1 monorail on the ground.
That's really interesting.
And so Bob Gurr, I love Bob Gurr, man. He's my favorite Imagineer, hands down. Like, I know nothing about cars and automobiles and stuff like that, but I just love the way that Bob Gurr has such a passion for that kind of stuff. And it's like the dude just loves what he does, and I get a thrill out of seeing this kind of stuff. Bob Gurr, Attractions Club documentary, how he would like go down to junkyards and stuff to try and find like just the right kind of combination of body parts to go into this train. And really, like, the goal was to have kind of Thompson style, or I'm sorry, not Flash Thompson, that's Spider-Man. A Flash Gordon style, kind of like Train of the Future. And then Walt liked it so much that he used the idea, he used the design when he did the monorail. He was like, my God, we don't need to change a thing about this design.
Yeah, that's a really neat story.
So the Viewliner is it's a very, very short-lived attraction, but it has a much better legacy than like other short-lived Disneyland Tomorrowland attractions, such as the Bathroom of the Future or the Phantom Boats or something like that.
Yeah.
Can you tell I'm just an encyclopedia for this shit, Pi?
No, I love things like that. I love having all these fun stories.
All right. Anyways, yes, I love the Viewliner. It's what I like about this Pi is that realistically, I'm just going to be honest with you folks. Realistically, this is probably the only thing that could ever happen with the People Movers.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's better to have something there than nothing, And if it's repurposed into an actual space and there's stuff being done to it, and It offers cool vantage points and photo ops, and it even spreads out the walkway traffic a little bit, then my God, Pi, I'm all for it.
I think it would be a neat thing to do with them, unless they were willing to invest in the money and doing complete, full, tear down, rebuild everything.
That's what you need to
do to get the people walking again.
That's what you need to bring the people mover back up. No less
unless they
full top to down deconstruction of everything. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation.
Then this is the best option, I think.
Yeah. All right.
It's a small thing, but this is what stood out to me as possibly the highlight of this project. For me, as someone who likes weird things.
All right. Dragon. Sorry, I almost called you Dragon. Let's let's kind of skim through this a little bit. So the Progress Pavilion was really interesting. I'm not quite sure. It's like a little Epcot-y for me.
Yeah, it's a little slice of Epcot in Tomorrowland, which in theory works, but I don't think blends well with the rest of the Tomorrowland they have, being very sci-fi focused.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, this thing is essentially the land on steroids, right? So it's, I don't know. It's just, I feel like your guys' project has a much better flow to it overall than this does. It's just like, and why not? This is a really cool idea, kind of taking the concepts of the land and expanding on them a little bit.
Yeah. I do think that the River of Time boat ride is a neat thing, though that also feels too sci-fi for how Epcot-y this is, which feels too Epcot-y for how sci-fi the rest of Tomorrowland is. There's like a weird donut effect around it.
What you're saying is that it's impossible to please us.
Exactly. I have never been happy.
Not even when you went to Disneyland, you were just like, meh.
Yeah, ask D. Hindley. I had the angry grimace the entire time.
God, I can just picture you doing that. Just walking around with like mouse ears that have Pi embroidered on them, just P-I embroidered on them. It's like, meh. You're on the Matterhorn. Meh.
Exactly.
All right. Anyways. Here's the thing about the river ride is I just don't necessarily think it should be a D ticket per se. I think it would work better as like a C ticket dark ride to kind of complement the Primeval world.
Yes, it needs to either be bigger or smaller.
Yeah, because this whole thing, like this whole thing feels like it's basically a tie-in to the Primeval world. Yet, right? So you already have the Primeval world there, so you don't really need to have that big of a concept behind it.
True. It falls into a weird middle ground in a couple of different ways. So this could have been a real standout attraction, but doesn't quite all come together. Right.
All right. San Francisco, I love this artwork, Pi. Do you know if it's something pulled off of Google Images, or do you know if someone actually made this? Because if someone on the team made this, I'm really impressed.
I'm going to assume off of Google Images.
Okay.
If I am wrong, and if I know Twilight Zone's in the chat and you are on that team, if you or someone on the team made that, let me know if you can.
Yeah, because
I would hate to be wrong about that.
This is some beautiful art. I mean, even if it's off of Google Images, really good reference.
It's great art and a great find.
Yeah.
I just know it doesn't look like any style I've ever seen Space or Twilight Zone do. And where the other people on the team were all eliminated for not being active, I feel like if they created this, that would have been enough activity.
The whole team just got Thanos snapped.
Yeah. Twilight Zone said he's going to double check.
Chris Moyer is just like, I don't want to go space. All right. Oh God. Oh, poor Chris Moyer.
If someone did do this artwork, they did a fantastic. I mean, someone obviously did it. It wasn't just spontaneously
It's just
combusted
conjured out
into
of thin air
existence.
pie. It's a combination of ones and zeros.
But yeah, between that and then Space has a good picture showing the possibly ill-fittingly naturalistic and
Yeah, I wasn't
Asian-inspired
big on
buildings.
this. I wasn't big on this. I mean, it works well enough as a, as a transitioning point with Matterhorn Way, I guess. The only problem is that Matterhorn Way is like, it's not that wide, it's like, you've basically got that space between the Matterhorn and the Sublagoon. And I don't know. I have a hard time picturing a whole subland going in that area. I really just,
I think that was supposed to take up the whole Buzz side of that main walkway.
Oh, wait, so there's for this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think those buildings are supposed to be where Buzz was.
Okay.
Because the Big Hero 6 ride is replacing Buzz Lightyear. Though the only thing we know about the Big Hero 6 ride is that's replacing Buzz Lightyear. So it's tough to tell because I think whatever write-up was supposed to accompany this image and explain it more never actually got made.
Right. Also, I feel like in the image, this isn't like a critique of the art or anything. It's a nice looking image, but I feel like the buildings look more right up against the mountain than they should be.
Yes, which could also be not knowing where the buildings are supposed to be. Maybe they are meant to look like that. And you take like a little walkway and it's forced perspective where they're supposed to look farther back than they really are.
Right. I don't know. Anyways. So,
yeah.
Of course, the Gardens of Innovation or Innovation. I'm terribly sorry. Innovation. Replacing Pixie Hollow. That's a good pool.
Yeah.
It's interesting how those fountains in the in that area of Tomorrowland, between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, like they've been there forever, but they've just been parts of different things. Like they were in Trident Gardens for a while, and then Trident Gardens became Pixie Hollow. And before Trident Gardens, you had the House of the Future there for a long time.
Yeah, and they just walk with whatever's there because they're very pretty fountains.
Right. That's Disneyland for you, man. That's Disneyland in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so let's see what else we got here. All right, Todayland. Yeah, here's my thing with this one, Pi. I don't necessarily think that Meet the like man, I feel like a jerk for this because I know who wrote, the person who wrote this is very, very big into Meet the Robinsons. I don't think that Meet the Robinsons would have a place in a Disney park per se because nobody talks about that movie. And I hate to say that, I really do, because, it's like a lot of great Imagineering can come out of obscure stuff, but Meet the Robinsons to me is like the definition of like a good but not great Disney movie that just got lost to time.
Yeah, it's one I personally have always really liked, but it's one of those ones like Treasure Planet or Atlantis where a lot of people really like them, but realistically I don't see, especially anything on the scale of tying a third of Tomorrowland to it being something that would actually happening.
Yeah.
I do love Meet the Robinsons.
Like
I do have some confirmation from Twilight Zone that the San Francisco image did not come from our site.
Okay, I expected that, yeah.
Yeah.
Pi,
Thank you for that.
Frankly, I think that Treasure Planet, and Atlantis, like from a thematic point of view, I'd much rather see attractions based off of them than Meet the Robinsons. No offense to Meet the Robinsons. My problem is that Meet the Robinsons is just kind of like there's nothing really mind blowing or like it's like I don't know, Pi. It's like for you and me, I feel like the modern day sort of like mind-blowing, holy crap, I'm being transported into another world equivalent for Imagineering is Pandora and Cars Land. You got those two things on both sides of the coast. Both things attempt radically different tones, radically different styles, but they're both just as immersive, both just as transformative. You feel like you're in another world when you're in them. And with Todayland, I just don't get it because it's just like, what are you trying to say here? Are you trying to say that it's basically just making a pun out of how Tomorrowland constantly gets outdated? And to me, there's nothing immersive about that idea.
It's an odd thematic
I
mix.
hate to say this because it's like, I'm sure this isn't the intent that the person was going for. It almost feels like a little under new management for me, Pi. I really hate to say that. That sounds dirty.
It's not as bad as under new management, but it does have a similar kind of feel to that. Which I do think that Meet the Robinsons, like I think that I forget what it was called, the Future Inserted, what they did with the Launch Bay Carousel building specifically, if it was just that, I would have liked it a lot more. Because that one basically kind of sets up as a new version of Interventions. But I think trying to tie everything with the Todayland didn't work as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Which Twilight Zone does say that the idea was to make it a lot grander originally, but it came about sort of last minute, which is why it just kind of got shuffled into this one paragraph. Which I can see that, because this could have been a lot grander of an idea if it was more fully fleshed out.
I mean, I just think that the whole concept of Todayland, like it literally appeared in a few shots of an obscure Disney movie. It's not even a major part of an obscure Disney movie. I don't know, man.
It's a tough sell. It's the type of thing I could see working if done just right, and how it is here doesn't come across that well.
Yeah.
And it's the type of thing that would be tough to make come across right.
All right, let's see. Anything else in this project?
Few updates of the past things. Always like updating the subs because they definitely could use an update, though. Like the People Mover, not sure how much they can really do with that. I like that Space Mounted managed to bring the famous bench back into the Sorcerer's Apprentice universe, or at least try to.
Yeah, voice through the liquid seas. I mean, I like the idea in theory, but I have two problems with it. One, this is going to sound super cynical, but I just don't think Bob Iger would ever approve an attraction like this in this day and age.
I don't think the submarines in general, anything with them would get improved and approved besides being demolished in this day and age.
Right. And two, I like the idea of the double-decker subs in theory, but that would be impossible to pull off.
It would require essentially the entire lagoon to be drained and the entire thing be rebuilt from the ground up.
Right, like you need at least another, I want to say at least another 6 to 7 feet of pure, you need to like, basically the lagoon needs to be at least like 7 or 8 up to maybe 15 feet deeper than it currently is to make something like that work.
It would be a major overhaul.
Because as it stands now, those subs are so tiny that it's like you could barely fit into the single-decker subs.
It was smaller than I was expecting after being told constantly how small it would be.
Pi, I hate to say it, but it's like it's one of those things where, man, I will never forget how excited I was to ride Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage, because the first time I went to Disneyland was like right when Tomorrowland 98 was under construction. So the subs had literally like just closed within like the year. And you know, that first ride on Nemo subs, I was like, oh, this is awesome. You know, this is like Disney history right here. Oh my God, I'm actually walking down the staircase into the subs, man. And yeah, Nemo subs, it's not a ride that's held up well. I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, but nowadays I think that the seas with Nemo friends is probably the more comfortable attraction.
I really enjoyed doing the subs. It was a really neat thing, and I loved the gimmick of it. But just the way, unless they were going to do an entire major lagoon redo to completely redo and update the subs and spend way more money than they realistically ever would, it's just not comfortable to ride. It's a very pleasant experience to walk out at, but it's a very unpleasant experience for the physical sensation of riding it.
I'll put it this way, like when they first opened the subs back in like 2008, man, I was stoked, and it was like the big thing that I had to get on. And you know, that was like the thing that you rope drop, and you know, you like I'd want to get on it like at least a couple times a day just because it was so new and so fresh. Fast forward 10 years, Pi, and the subs is something that I will do maybe once if the line is a walk on, and after I do it once, I'll like avoid it like the plague.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I do remember the hype that I had for that ride when it first opened, man. That might have been the most excited I ever was to ride a theme park attraction. It might be.
It's an exciting concept.
It is. It is. All right. Anyways, okay, so can you explain the bench at Majestic Point, Pi?
So this was before my time on the competition. So if space or anyone watching wants to give a better explanation, feel free to. But my understanding is that some round of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, there was a round entirely devoted to making a bench.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
And it's one of those things like the Tintin or Volcano Bat that just became a running joke about the bench round and how good of a bench they could make. And things like that.
Okay, well, to be fair, the bench round was much less of a clusterfuck than the Tintin round was.
I will take your word on that one. I've heard horror stories about Tintin.
Right.
But you know, Sorcerer's Apprentice universe is 90% inside jokes.
Right. All right, so any final thoughts on this project? Pi, I really think we need to speed up the pace on this. I don't know.
We do. I think we just keep going too many tangents.
Right.
But yeah, final thoughts. Some neat ideals that if they had more time to develop would have been a lot stronger. But just the whole thing with only 2 people did not come across that great overall.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And Space said they had 24 hours to make a bench. So it wasn't just a regular round. They had to do it fast.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Do you want to move on to your project or Team Warriors?
Either one works for me.
Okay, let's build to yours, I guess. Pi, I hope that you read this pretty thoroughly because frankly, it's not that it's a bad project at all, but I was just under a time crunch, and this was one that I just kind of had to really, really quickly skim. And I don't know. like, I feel bad. I feel like I really should have given this more time than I did.
Well, I read through it pretty well, and we're kind of running long on time anyways for what we're planning on doing, so we can hit mostly the highlights of it anyways. So you should be fine. This overall was a really good project, though it doesn't do a lot to lend itself to the length of to being easy to read with how long it is. It would have been nice if instead of having this as a PDF, have it as just a regular Google Doc, so you could have the little outline on the side of the screen that lets you click around and skip through it faster, or do more little descriptions of what things are at the beginning of each section. Because there's a lot, it's easy to get lost in the paragraphs in this project.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I was like, you know, when I was doing my research for this, I was like, oh crap, I should have given myself at least 3 hours to read through all this and not 2, man. I cannot conceivably read through all this in the time that I have. So, folks, I want to apologize for that. From this point forward, you know, this podcast is just kind of like, it's been bad luck on Pi and I's end. You know, before you left for the trip, Pi, I got really sick for about a week, and then you left for the trip. So basically, we've been sort of like MIA for the past 2 weeks between the two of us. And
yeah,
I want to just say right off the bat that, you know, this project is not going to be me at my best. You're doing great, Pi, but like, it's not going to be me at my best. Because, like I said, I haven't really had the time to read the brainstorming for Project 2 either. So I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants on this one. That being
that's
said,
why I set the bar very low for myself. That way it's easy to reach that.
Right. That being said, starting with Project 3 and beyond, you know, that I feel like those are going to be a lot easier to podcast about because it's, you know, we're going to be talking about two projects instead of 5, you know, so that's going to make it a lot more manageable.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
But on to this project.
For this one, why don't you just give us some rundowns and we'll kind of call it a day. I don't really feel like scrolling through all this, although I will say I do like all the artwork here.
The artwork's amazing. This, unless I'm very wrong with this was the team Monroe Red was on, and I'm assuming a lot of this came from her, just because it has that nice painterly style. And, you know, she's just fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great ideas, and it's all presented and written really well. Like I said, my only real complaint with this project as a whole is just that it's difficult to navigate and read, but it's very rewarding if you do. I like right up top, it's such a weird concept, but robot prams, which basically is a way to park your stroller in a fancy futuristic way. And it's such a small detail, but it harkens back to the Tomorrowland being a showcase for new technologies that can help urban living centers while still keeping the more futuristic, modern Tomorrowland style with it. I liked that touch. Then, of course, there's little things like lounge and stuff like that. Then you get to the time machine as a re-theme for Star Tours, which is kind of a safe idea, but it's a very good idea. That's part of what makes it a safe idea, is that it's good. And one nice thing is a lot of times if you have people do branching path type rides like this, you tend to get just, here's some scenes you could see, like you could go to space or you could go to medieval times. Things like that. Imagine it. They have like 3 or 4 different possibilities, 3 or 4 different possibilities for each time frame of it. So you get every scene. Like, it's clearly fully thought out this attraction, every detail.
Yeah, definitely.
Could have easily just been a phoned in last minute thing, and yet they made it work really well and put a lot of effort into it.
You know, the only thing that made it better is if they somehow got the Mario IP and made this a Mario's Time Machine attraction.
Mario's Time Machine is the greatest video game ever made.
Everyone knows that, Pi. That's just fact.
It's absolutely a fact.
Have you ever
I
played
still
Mario
can't believe
Time
Mario's
Machine?
Time Machine isn't a Smash Brothers.
Damn, God. Have you ever played Mario's Time Machine, just out of curiosity?
I have not actually played it. I watched the Game Grumps play it.
I owned it for the Super Nintendo, Pi.
Oh, you poor thing.
Day, man. Back in the day. And I was like, this is not like Super Mario World at all. Damn it.
I can only imagine the disappointment.
It's like, think about it. When I got the game, I was expecting basically a Super Mario World style platformer, but with a time machine theme.
Which would be an awesome Mario game.
Oh, it really would be, yeah. Actually, I think that'd be a cool way to do a cheap Odyssey too, is to kind of just play around with the the timeline of all the different kingdoms.
That would be a really neat way to do like a Majora's Mask style same engine sequel.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Anyways, tangents by tangents.
Next up, they have the Robot Factory, which is basically like a Build-A-Bear except for Build-A-Bot. And it's a really neat idea, and they even have prices for different levels of how much AI and things like that you can add to your toy robot. Like, is it just basically an action figure? Does it have like remote controls and things like that? It's neat touches. Even the prices may seem slightly high. This is also Disney, so they really aren't that high. And then, of course, bring back the People Mover, and of course, everyone wants to bring back the People Mover. I'm trying to double check. I don't think they mention it being a new track. I'm trying to double check that before I say for certain. Yeah, I think they just presumably use the same track, which would have been nice to see a quick mention or something being like, and here's things that will update for ADA compliance in the modern era, as well as the parts that had to be rebuilt or fully new track. It feels like the type of thing, for how much thought's been put into everything before this feels like just, and the People Mover.
You're right. But I remember having a conversation at Teppanito on my solo trip to Disney World with a couple folks, and I mentioned that People Mover was one of my favorite things at Disney World, and they were like, "Really? Really? Of all things?" And I was like, "Absolutely, 100% yes." Like, I got really passionate about it. I was like, "You guys have no idea how miserable it is to go to Disneyland, and the first thing you see when you take the monorail into the park, empty People Mover tracks with just like dead leaves piled to the high heavens on those tracks." It's just like, no, like when I'm at Disney World, I will go on the People Mover as much as I possibly can. Like, I will marathon that thing like a coaster addict marathons El Toro.
Yeah, the People Mover is pretty great, but no one loves the People Mover more than people who come from Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's exactly like people who come to Disney World and they're like, "Oh my God, Mr. Toad."
I will say Alice and all those dark rides were some of my favorites in the entire property.
I love I love our Fantasyland, man. New Fantasyland was impressive in some aspects, but I think our Fantasyland is so much better.
It's very nice.
Even with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
But away from Fantasyland and back to Tomorrowland, we have All Out Monster Attack, which seems like a really cool ride. Doesn't quite fit with the rest of their Tomorrowland to me. Like, just something feels slightly off about it. But I do really like the ride itself. Maybe like one or two too many big, large-scale animatronics in it for realism's especially the space they'd have. But I like the idea of the ride, and I think it could be a very effective ride. But just with being a trackless ride with several giant animatronic encounters, it is just a bit much for the space and a bit too clashing from the rest of Tomorrowland.
Also, Godzilla is a Warner Brothers property, and there's no way he'd show up in a Disney park.
Yeah, especially since Warner Brothers seems to be trying to ramp up the building their own park in America.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's just too large scale for the actual concept. Like, I think this should be like a. Do they call this a D ticket or an E ticket?
Can't remember if they actually give it a ticket.
Because I mean, from the sounds of it, with the a trackless dark ride with multiple large scale animatronics, that sounds like an E ticket.
It would be an E ticket. Like, they don't specify what it is, but it would be an E ticket.
And I just think with this concept, it's a cool concept. I don't think the spacing would work out with this at all. But could you imagine if this was right next to the sci-fi drive-in?
This would do great in a Studios park or California Adventure or something like that. I think this would be a standout attraction. As it is here in this project, just feels slightly off.
Yeah, sorry. I could even see this replacing a Great Movie Ride.
Nothing should ever replace Great Movie Ride. I'm glad it's still open and always will be. There's no war in Ba Sing Se.
All right. Fair enough. Oh, boy.
But yeah, the Gardens is a nice, very unique dining option, being the very vegetarian focused. That I think would be a big hit over in California, as well as fit some of the themes in Tomorrowland. And I like the Big Hero 6 being the new 4D film, presumably in the same 4D theater. I don't think it specifies it, unless I missed it. But it seems like a good use of Big Hero 6. Yeah, they do specify the no, they don't specify. But it's gotta be the Magic Eye Theater.
Yeah, that space is being wasted right now.
Yeah, it's shocking to me how many movie preview theaters there are in Disneyland, considering how little space there is.
Yep. And of course, one of those is fucking Muppet Vision.
Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's heartbreaking. It really is. I literally did Muppet Vision twice in a row on my trip.
It's a good. It's a very dated show, but it's a very good show.
I don't care how dated it is, man. It's like the Tiki Room in terms of the the physical effects, the in-theater effects. I love my in-theater effects.
Those are really cool.
Uh-huh.
It elevates it above a lot of other 3D shows.
I mean, seeing a live actor as Sweetums never gets old.
It's just such a nice touch.
Anyways.
But yeah, this is a very, very good, very nice, well thought out Big Hero 6 4D movie. Has some in-theater effects that's talking about in there. Nothing that super stands out to me, but also feels like a nice, solid Big Hero 6 Tomorrowland thing. I like that they tie in having the characters sing There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. Maybe slightly cheesy, but it works. It's the type of cheesy that I can forgive.
Sure.
It's cheesy in a very earnest way. It's not cheesy in that sort of tacky, tongue-in-cheek kind of way. And Walls of Tomorrow, I'll admit I had a bit of trouble getting my head around exactly what all it was. Because it just seems like a lot. But a good lot. like mostly outdoor, partly indoor, tour of the World of Tomorrow, taking up all of the submarine and Autopia track, which is a huge area.
I mean, all I got out of this really was it was just kind of like, okay, we're doing Horizons and we're doing House of the Future. And I don't know, Pi, that just it seems like very easy territory to me.
Yes, it's clear that a lot of work was put into this, and it's not like they took like the easy way out as much as they could have, but feels very much it was how can we bring Horizons back, but not just say we're bringing back Horizons.
Yeah, and like I said, I just simply didn't have the time to read through this all word for word, so I'm kind of lost on what to say.
One detail I did like, because being from Florida, I always like when people put things like this in outdoor rides that go both indoors and outdoors. Is they mentioned that the cars have domes that the attendants can put up over the people for times when it's raining out or the weather is inclement.
Right. Yeah, that's nice.
Feels like they could have just always had the domes, but I like whenever someone mentions, here's how we can still have the ride operate when it's raining. So that wouldn't work because lightning is why they close rides, and there's rarely rain without lightning. But it was a nice thought.
And I forget where else this factors in, Pi, but in another project, I think there's one of the teams did an attraction where it had like both an optional outdoor section to the ride and then a rerouted track that would just take you completely indoors in case of bad weather.
That was the Bigfoot attraction in Rainier Ridge.
Right. Got it. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Pi, we're an hour in and we still have, it's like so much for being like, oh yeah, folks, we're just going to quickly skim the Tomorrowland projects.
Yeah, we did kind of took some time with that more than we planned on.
And we're not even done with them. We're 2/3 of the way through.
That's right.
So here's the thing, Pi. I'm honestly proposing that maybe we split this in half.
I think that might be the thing to do, especially with it getting later on the East Coast. I'm
exactly.
sure.
That's what I'm thinking. There's, we have people watching live who probably want to go to bed soon. So
yes. So unless you guys watching really, really want us to just keep going,
I'm
all-nighter type
if
thing.
People watching live want us to keep going, I'll keep going. But
yeah. So if you want that, let us know.
I think it'd be better to have a podcast that's slightly over an hour than like a 2.5-hour podcast.
Yeah, we'll try and do the second part with the Inventus projects as soon as we can.
I mean, I could do it tomorrow if you're available tomorrow.
I don't want to say with certainty at this moment, but I should be.
Okay, sounds good. Well, all right. Well, regardless, anything else to say about Team Warriors for the Tomorrowland project?
I think that's about it for me. Overall, a lot of very strong and very creative ideas presented in a very professional fashion. Just parts of it felt a bit kind of boring. Partly because of the paragraphs upon paragraphs in the presentation style.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's we've literally got into a point like there used to be a point in these competitions where just having a website at all, no matter what it was just like, oh my God, this is fucking awesome presentation. And now it's like you can just tell it's like, work was put into this presentation, it's like we got page numbers, we got the consistent the banners, that kind of break up everything. Like this isn't just text vomited onto the screen, but it doesn't matter because the presentation element of these games has come so far that it is kind of dull, and that's honestly, that's kind of mind-blowing to me at this point that these games have evolved so much. They've evolved far past what my vision for these games was, like back in the VF days of So You Want to Be an Imagineer.
It is incredible what people are able to do now. Which I will say, it's not just that this is just what this is. There just needs to be more things to just make it more readable. Recaps, little pictures of here's where you are on the map, a table of contents on the side of the screen.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me? Weird. Hello, Pi? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's me or you who's having this issue. All right, folks. Sorry about this. I'm going to go out and come back in really quick because it might be on my end, and hopefully, I don't know. I'll be right back, guys. Hello? All right. Well, I presume that Pi is having technical issues, so sorry about that, folks. Hopefully he resurfaces soon. Let me just kind of pull up. Fortunately, his project is actually the project that I spent the most time with. I have some notes on it, so I should be able to get through this even if Pi does not show back up. And then most likely we'll be doing the Project 2 podcast tomorrow instead of just today. Let me check and see if Pi sent me anything. So you can tell, folks, I'm really far behind with my I'm in all the conversations for the team brainstorm, and I'm really far behind on finishing those up. So let me just. Yeah, well, you know, it's if he can get on, I think he'd come back on. Oh, hold on. What's he got to say? Sorry, folks. I'm literally at the moment. I just didn't want to. I just didn't want the screen share here. What does Pi have to say? Oh, hello.
Oh, hello? Did my internet actually come back?
Yeah, it did. I can hear you.
Okay. I just had the guy come by and tell me that the internet wouldn't be back for another hour.
Oh, really? Well, I don't know. For some miraculous reason, you're on and I can hear you. So
there we go. And
I
thank
guess
you, Twilight Zone. I would like to rest in spaghetti. It's my favorite food.
I just pasta in general, man. I love pasta in general.
It's amazing.
Pasta. All right, So Pi, before you get kicked off, I want to give you the floor and just talk about just the brainstorming process behind, like, basically just kind of talk about conceptually just how this project came about. I want you to get as much in as you can, because I'm assuming you might get kicked off again in the very near future. So
Yeah, just in case, I'll get right to it.
yeah,
Basically, we had a couple different ideas of how Tomorrowland could work out, and we were having trouble coming together as a team to get them to all coalesce into one. And it was taking a while to figure out how to make that work. So I think it was me, but I don't want to take credit in case it's not. Came up with the idea of saying, well, what if one thing we were able to come together to a consensus to was to do a sci-fi based Tomorrowland, not the city of the future Epcot type Tomorrowland.
yes, I remember this debate well.
Yes. I think it was me who suggested, well, what if what makes this city famous is we have the black hole that we use to generate power, and because of that, there's a bunch of time and spatial and dimensional anomalies, and that lets us use whatever sci-fi concepts we want, and then we just block off into areas based on these attraction ideas people keep throwing out. And it just kind of basically made up a setup that allowed us to do all the fun things people were excited to be working on. And my role for most of the project was just doing the map and doing the scribble maps area measurement to make sure everything fits. Which is how I learned how freaking huge the Autopia space is, because there's room for, realistically, spatially, Flight of Passage, a trackless dark ride, plus a flat ride to easily fit where Autopia was.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go. I mean, maybe just the ride system for Flight of Passage, but I don't really think you could fit like the Flight of Passage queue and that entire mountain range and everything that goes into Flight of Passage in there.
Well, not all of that. I do mean just like the ride system theaters and a smaller queue to go with it.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just saying, like, Flight of Passage in itself is like half of Pandora.
Yeah, if you count the whole extended outdoor queue, then no.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, you could, but not with all the other stuff.
It's like over half of Pandora, I want to say.
Depending on how busy the day is, yeah.
Exactly.
Line goes out. But yeah, so that was sort of what led us to be able to do all these different things. This round was a bit of a personal disappointment to me looking back, because I did the synthetic scientist show, and it's something I feel like I could have done a lot better on, especially looking back at it. There's something funny I noticed today is that one complaint that I saw I got once or twice from people is they didn't understand. Not they didn't understand, but it was like, it was weird that you have this under the expo when spatially looking at the map, it should be in the city. We were wondering why that was, or why it wasn't mentioned, or what's the outside supposed to look like. You just go right to what's the inside like. The first paragraph of my write-up got cut off at some point in the website. I didn't notice that until today. I just missed it when I was copying and pasting into the forum.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I missed that I was disappointed in myself in missing is I forgot entirely that the train station is in Tomorrowland, and it's just not on the map at all.
Yeah,
it's surprisingly difficult to read maps for Disneyland's Tomorrowland for someone who's never been there before. But yeah, I feel like I could have done a lot better with that one. So this is a round where I feel like I did a lot of good things. That's one thing I feel like might come back to someday to try and do better. Though as a team, we have a lot of solid ideals that just want really a cohesive whole, just a lot of solid ideals. And even just the plot of Tomorrowland was just made so we could have those collection of ideals rather than finding the one cohesive whole that we were having trouble finding.
Yeah, here's the thing, Pi. I really do think this flows together well. Honestly, I just can't get past, like, City, the Expo. It's just, those are such boring names for sublands to me.
Yeah, they're not exciting names. There's some more placeholder names that we just never got around to replacing.
I mean, if you would have actually named the city and named the Expo, that would have entirely changed things.
Which I think we did somewhere in one of the write-ups.
Oh, God.
For each of them have names, but I don't think those names ever actually made it to being the official area names.
All right.
But
is there concept art you want to highlight here, Pi, or do you mind if I just stick on the map?
There's small pieces of art that a lot of people did throughout. I'm going to double check, 'cause I don't remember any very super detailed ones.
Okay.
I'm going to go through and double check while we talk, because I would feel bad if I'm wrong about that. There's what is a neat Photoshop poster someone did, combine a couple elements from this. Just scroll down below it. But I know it's kind of difficult to navigate through the entire site on the podcast.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's another thing, is that it's I just think that the navigation here could have been a little bit more streamlined.
Yeah, it's very, very good at emulating the style of the Disney website. It's just kind of rough.
Too good. That's the problem.
Yeah, because the Disney website is kind of terrible.
Oh, man. It's ironic. I feel like Disney does better in the mobile space than they do, like, on actual homepages.
They do, because their map apps and things like that are really
Yeah,
great.
that's what I'm saying.
Try and look up a map of any Disney park on their website, and it's terrible.
God. Right. So, for example, it's like you click on the city, and my web browser will load here. Sorry. And you get to city attractions, city dining, city shopping. I don't know, Pi. Frankly, I just think that's a little too many tabs and sub-tabs.
Yeah, you kind of gotta... It's good for organizing things, but then when you're trying to click through it, you gotta go like 2-3 layers deep before you get to anything.
Right. Okay, but let's talk through these really quick while we can. So Dreamflight I really liked quite a bit. I thought that was a solid a solid way to do a reboot of an attraction and keep with the spirit of the attraction.
Yeah, it's maybe a bit of a weird choice for Disneyland, since that was a Disney World one. But for a reboot of Dreamflight, I think this even improves on the original in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Space Mountain kind of has like a transportation hub theme to it, right?
Yeah, it's themed as basically essentially what will be in the future a bus stop. Except for to us, it's all big and exciting because we're not from the future.
Right. So that's interesting. I like that concept. It kind of reminds me of how the Disney World Space Mountain is almost like a space airport.
Yeah. Except for this takes the ideal and like fully realizes it.
Uh-huh.
Whereas the one in Disney World just kind of like hints at it. It's like the flavor of a LaCroix. Well, it's there, but is it there?
Well, all I know is that the Star Tunnel music is there. That's all I care about.
That is there, and that's fantastic.
All right. Trimaxion tours. This would never happen.
It was a big passion project for, if I don't have the person wrong, if I do, I'm sorry, Pergron Studios.
Okay.
Because he
I'm
really was a big fan of Flight the
attracted.
Navigator.
It's a good attraction. It just kind of goes back to the Meet the Robinson thing of like, it's just too obscure, man.
Yeah. I think this one does a bit better of a job standing on its own, where you don't have to even know that any part of it is from a movie.
Sure.
Like, having zero knowledge of Flight the Navigator beyond the like trailer I watched when this was being part of the project. If I wrote this, I'd have no idea it was tied to a movie.
But by the same point, I feel like Meet the Robinsons like has a more likely shot to actually get incorporated into Tomorrowland.
And that's good counterpoint. Because at least that one is more remembered and animated, so it's easier to
And
market.
it does legitimately have like a direct pull into Tomorrowland history. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah,
an
so like
odd IP choice,
it's not
but
that I sorry.
I was saying it's an odd IP choice, though it came across as a relatively solid ride once it all came together. But it's an odd IP choice that I don't think they'd actually use.
Uh-huh. All right. So let's get to some shitty dining, to quote South Park.
It's
How
really
do you
hoping we wouldn't go there.
Shakey's Pizza? How do you like the Shakey's Pizza right next to the to your hotel pie?
I never actually got down there. I mean,
But
I
I mean,
got down there to pick up a menu, but the timing to go to the lunch buffet never worked out. And I never wanted to pay like $20 for a single pizza.
right. But did you just like bask in the glory of just you have Shakey's that's right there?
Oh yes, that was very nice to see that was a real thing.
Oh man. All right. Okay, so Club Cosmic. Hi, I um have you ever been inside Cosmic Rays when they're doing one of the dance parties during the parties?
Um, no, but I would assume that like most dance parties, it's very sad. Is it not?
It feels like a fever dream.
That
I
sounds
don't
like
know
it
for
could be good
sure.
actually.
I, I just like towards the end of a very Merry Christmas party, just to check and see if Sunny Eclipse was out, and the most bizarre Disney party that I've ever seen is oh my god. It was like a Pixar dance party that was in Tomorrowland in October when I went. And they literally had Woody in Tomorrowland.
That's weird. It's just
So think
weird.
about it. Like, was it like to quote Monkey, wasn't the myth of Tomorrowland in the first place like the whole reason why Walt wanted to build the utilidors in Disney World? Wasn't that because he saw a cowboy walking through Tomorrowland?
The Cowboys have gotten smarter. We need to build better defenses.
And then Rob and I walked by that area a little later on in the night, and freaking Emile from Ratatouille was there for some reason.
The parties can be odd. They can just do some odd things.
I'm just like, oh my god, this is like the most bizarre and obscure collection of characters I have ever seen.
Like Twilight Zone just said, the Pixar theory has been confirmed. All the toys outlast the humans.
Oh God. You know what? You know what would be the only thing that would be more off-putting than Woody in Tomorrowland?
I can't think of it.
Bo Peep in Tomorrowland. Have
Bo
you
Peep
seen
in
that
some
costume
awful
in
costume
person,
of a
Pi?
sheep.
Have you
What?
seen that costume in person, the Bo Peep costume?
It's not good.
Oh, it's yeah.
It's not the worst thing Disney's created, but it's definitely far from the best.
I think it's up there with, like, at least in turn, like, certainly it's not as terrifying and traumatizing as like the Mickey and Minnie costumes they have on opening, but man, it's up there with some of the worst costumes in modern Disney parks.
It's close.
All right.
But yeah, Club Cosmic. Kind of a funny story there is
All I can think of, like I said, all I can think of when I think of Club Cosmic is the very sad and pathetic Cosmic Ray dance party.
hopefully this one would not be sad and pathetic, since it's
Hopefully.
not set up to be like that much of a full dance party type thing. But yeah, this was kind of a funny story in that there was decided early on that we all agreed, oh yeah, like an alien nightclub would be a really cool restaurant. We definitely want to have that in there. And it just got to be like the last day of the project, and we looked around and was like, oh, no one ever wrote that or is planning to. So I think I threw together that paragraph in like 5 minutes, if that. And it was just thrown in because we all wanted that, but never actually did it. Those are always fun parts of projects. Am I out again? Am I out or is Tiki out? People can hear me. Let me know. Trying to do some things. Okay, so Twilight Zone, if you're watching and can hear me, if you could just comment and let me know, can you hear Tiki? Or is he out on your end too? Because all I'm seeing is his logo. Okay, so we're having a lot of technical difficulties tonight, as you can tell. Sorry about that. Hopefully he will be back soon. In the meantime, let me see what I can do to try and just keep going a little bit. Going into city dining. Next up, we had the Starliner restaurant, which was meant to be sort of like a intergalactic cruise ship kind of thing, which was a neat idea to have that as a table service restaurant. Could be a really interesting and unique thing. So like the space restaurant that they're building in Epcot right now. I think that was a very effective idea, possibly too big of an idea for the space it had, especially now that I know more about the actual layout and space of that area of Tomorrowland where it went. But if it could be made to fit there, I think it would be a really cool addition. As far as the shopping goes, very solid. Cloud9 Gifts maybe doesn't lend itself too well to Tomorrowland, but the Metro Retro Historical Society theming ties it in well enough. And which, by the way, I loved it. I wish I remembered who came up with the Metro Retro. I want to say it was Disney Man one. I can't remember. But whoever came up with that one, I absolutely love the Metro Retro Historical Society name. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the city, which then takes us over to the expo, which is an area that I feel like overall has some really neat ideas at play with it. But as a whole, a lot of aspects of the expo just weren't fully fleshed out, with probably the biggest exception to that being the gigantic garden breakout, which turned out great, in my opinion at least. That was all Evil Gidget who did that one, from, I want to say, all the way from concept to the entire write-up. But yeah, the expo as an area just didn't fully come together, though. To even the gigantic garden outbreak, the map and area description was made at the same time his description of Saw was made, and those two never were coalesced and brought together. It's just the expo area could have been a lot stronger, I think. I think it's probably wound up what could have been easily the strongest area of the project wound up being perhaps the weakest. That being said, as I said, love the gigantic garden breakout ride. Feels very modern Epcot. Like, this is what Epcot should be building now. Maybe not as futuristic sci-fi as Tomorrowland should be. I think that back when this was going to be a trackless dark ride, I think that lent itself better to the story that they have. I don't think Omni Mover was the right choice. I know Evil Gidget was going back and forth a lot on both of those. I think that trackless would have lent itself a lot better to the concept of all of these giant plants going crazy and getting loose and kind of just wreaking havoc.
And
Is that Tiki?
Was, yeah, now it's my turn for my internet to randomly go out.
There we go. This is clearly a cursed podcast. I wrapped up the city area and got us started a little bit on the expo and the garden ride, just to keep the progress moving a bit. This has been a fantastic project for technical issues.
Right. I've had worse. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay,
Twilight Zone, hopefully you can hear both of us now.
Yeah. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so Pi, let me just be the first to say that I absolutely freaking love the whatever the plant ride is called. Hold on, I have it written down. The
gigantic garden outbreak.
Told you don't tell me. Yeah, the gigantic garden outbreak, man. I really like that. It just rolls off the tongue. It sounds like the name of a Mario level or something.
It does sound like a Mario level.
Doesn't
I knew
it?
The name reminded me of something, but I couldn't tell what. Like something right out of Mario Galaxy.
Right. I've actually been playing through New Super Mario Brothers U recently. Not the most popular Mario Brothers game, but you know what? Having only played the original New Super Mario Brothers, it's a huge step up from that.
Oh yeah, I think that one gets more hate than it deserves, just because it was like the fifth of those in however many years.
Yeah, honestly, Pi, it's like, say what you will, but it's like, good level design is good level design, and that game has some damn good level design.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually putting more time into Super Luigi U. I love Super Luigi U.
That's one I only play since I didn't have a Wii U. I didn't play either much, but Luigi U was pretty good. And Twilight Zone says U is his second favorite of the new ones. So yeah, there we go. We're all on board with you. And
Right.
we're all on board with this garden ride.
Yeah, Pi, this to me was easily, hands down, the best thing to come out of all the Tomorrowland projects.
It's a really great ride. This was, unless I'm incredibly mistaken, this was all Evil Giglet from concept to execution.
That makes sense. We have the winner of the winner of the last competition that was held on WDWMagic coming back to kick ass and and take names in the first round of the next competition.
Exactly.
Synergy. Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like I don't even know what it is about. It's like I love everything about this. It's like it's very much you know what it reminds me of more than anything, Pi? Like most people are gonna instantly compare it to Little Shop of Horrors, which is fine. There's definitely some some Little Shop of Horrors references in there. But Pi, to me, this is like Stay Out of the Basement.
I don't know that one.
It's a Goosebumps book.
See, I never got much into Goosebumps myself.
Yeah, it's a Goosebumps book about a dad who's like a lab, he's like a scientist and he's doing all these weird experiments in the basement, and hence the title of the hence the title of the book. And then come to find out, Pi, he's making a bunch of plant people and he's turning into a plant person himself, Goldblum in the Fly style.
Oh, of course.
So yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. Just top to bottom. I mean, I just think of course I feel like having it be Omnimover based is just like, man, Omnimovers are one of the most popular ride systems in Disney for a reason, man. You know what I mean? It's like they are just like it's such a perfect ride system. It's so tried and true. There's like, to me, I would almost like I could design a park entirely based around Omnimover rides, because they are just like the perfect, they hit they're people eaters. You get that 360-degree view. You can theme Omnimovers to a lot of different things. I mean, I don't know, I'm just kind of blabbering on here, but
see, that's kind of interesting, because I had said before you got on here that I didn't think Omnimover was the right fit for this ride type. And I think that while Trackless tends to be overused, this is one that will really benefit from being that. And that could have really added to the craziness of the plants going crazy.
Okay, you see, I actually kind of disagree, because yeah, I do think that at the very least, in the space of armchair Imagineering, I do think that trackless dark rides are overused. And it's funny, here I am just praising to high heavens the concept of an Omnimover. But Pi, you know what I think makes this work really well with the Omnimover system is I feel like this attraction, like what I really dig about this attraction is that it's almost like Ghostbusters, right? It's got that same sort of tone where, I mean, first and foremost, it's kind of got some Mark Davis comedy in there, but by the same point, there's a creepy factor to this thing.
There is. It reminds me like the Tomorrowland version of a Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. And
like not quite that much.
With that in mind, I'm sorry. With that in mind, I think that Omnimovers are just really the way to go with a slow burn kind of suspense driven attraction like this.
I can definitely see where you're coming from. I still think that this one would lend itself more to Mystic Manor, and I'm usually the biggest person in favor of saying, now why is that a trackless dark ride? Just do it Fantasyland style or Omnimover.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely do see where you're coming from. I definitely don't think Omnimover is a mistake or anything like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think from top to bottom, just everything about this attraction is just really impressive. All the details, all the real building, just the level of the level of variety that he gets out of a very simple theme and concept is just really impressive.
It really is. Like, Evil Gigit can a lot of times fly under the radar and be kind of like quiet or in the background. But then when he comes out swinging with something like this, he comes out swinging. Or she comes out swinging. I don't really know either way.
Oh, yeah.
But when they do something big, they do it big, and it turns out amazing like this. This is possibly one of the best things I've seen them do.
All right, Pi. I'm gonna give ourselves 5 minutes to wrap up this podcast because I really don't want this going over an hour 40.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so any other final thoughts on any of these attractions, the hover cars?
None that I can really say. I don't think anything else here needs too much comment on that hasn't been said already.
All right. I don't know. I think you guys maybe got a little too much and too ambitious with all the different variations on the submarine.
Yeah, it was an idea that stemmed from Zootopia Dude, who is a new player who actually has kind of been absent since then. But he wanted to do it as a transportation to a separate section. So, like, the Seas with Nemo takes you to the aquarium there. But then it was just never quite fully fleshed out how that would work. And separating it out.
I just think having the future of Aqua Inc. and then the sub simulation facility, like, kind of, to me, it's like go with one or the other.
I would agree with that looking back at it now. I think that it definitely could have been simplified.
Yeah. Okay, so really quick, let's get into anything like substantial about the I know that the shopping and dining isn't nearly as elaborate as it is in the city.
Yeah, the city was the only area that really had much to the shopping and dining.
So
there was
probably just skip over that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I would say, especially for time, we just go right to the base and the attractions.
Base.
Which we have the Astro Orbiter, which went back and forth a lot between moving this here or replacing it with jetpacks. But we eventually went with the one that had the more history, since it's Disneyland and, you know, history. But and then Hover Cycles, which is a take on the Flight of the Passage ride system.
Interesting.
Which this one, I believe was Brea Oswald did this one and got some really out of the box ideas with it that we wasn't what was originally expecting with the robot ideas, including all these different classic Mickey characters in it. But I think it turned out a lot better than it could have. This could have really turned out as a mess, and it all came together. Like, it's this type of concept that could have easily fallen apart, and he did a good job.
All right. Sorry to have the conversation kind of peter out like this. I don't have too much to say about this in particular. I really think that the garden attraction was really the highlight of this whole thing, man. It was like your ace in the hole. So, you there? Oh boy. Well, folks, I don't know what the problem is here with Pi and I on a technical point of view. I think it might be on my end, but I'm pretty sure it's on my end. Damn it all! Darn the luck! Darn the luck! Oh no. Guess it is on Pi's end. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Oh. Hello?
Hello, I was just saying goodbyes in case anyone could hear me.
God. Yeah, I can hear you now, Pi. So, Pi, unless things go terribly, terribly wrong tomorrow, can we plan on doing Project 2 tomorrow?
Yeah, we can plan on doing Project 2 tomorrow, assuming it all works out.
Okay, sounds like a plan. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. Apologies on the technical issues. Apologies on only getting through one of the 3 projects, but hey, being as though there's going to be a quick turnaround on the podcast, this just means that you're going to get more time hearing us talk about the projects individually, because I guarantee you, Pi, if we would have tried to cover Project 2 on this podcast, it would have been rushed as all hell.
Oh, yeah.
So,
next time, there'll be less talking about Mario and Disneyland.
Oh, I can't guarantee
kidding. You know there won't be.
All right. Okay. With that in mind, everyone, thanks for joining us. Big shout out to Twilight Zone, Space Mountain, Nate. Anyone else I'm missing who is in the chat?
Those were the 3 that were in the chat.
Okay. So big shout out to those 3 for watching around and commenting. Always great to have a live audience. And I will see you guys later.